Welcome back to Real Life. I'm Sarah Bernard, and this show is all about buying, selling, and owning real estate, one of my favorite topics. I'm a realtor myself and also a TV host. And home, being at home, growing up in a home, designing a home, these are some of my favorite topics. But behind the emotional part of that word is a business, and most of us will be involved in it one way or another at some point in our lives. I created this show so we could help you learn the ins and outs of buying and selling homes, financing them, staging them, and so much more about real estate. Stay tuned for our latest episode of Real Life. I'm back with Andrea Lenson, my favorite co-host, and Karen Kelly, who is a luxury realtor. And Karen and Andrea both have an inside look on people's homes and how they live. And often we make our homes look their very best when it's time to sell. But what about the rest of the time? So I wanted to talk to you about that because we've been talking in all of our episodes on Real Life about what you do to go into people's homes, Andrea, and help them prepare to make them look their best when they sell. But I'm a believer, I know Karen, you agree.
Absolutely.
We need to, our homes need to look our best for us, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So what are, tell us, you have another sort of side to your business, which is called Design to Live, and helping people live their best life in their home. So talk about
say,
that.
for example, when we're getting a house ready to put on the market, we neutralize, depersonalize, so we're decorating for the buyer. So now they've sold their house and they're going to move on to their new home. That's where Design to Live comes in, because then we can help them in their new home. They can do whatever they want to do. So it's different than interior decorating. Interior decorating basically almost start from scratch, and you're buying furniture and you're doing custom, drapes or custom, furniture, things like that. So it's completely different. Plus, it takes a lot longer. So when we're doing Design to Live, we're just sort of redesigning what they have in their home and updating it a little bit more.
So you're taking the furniture from the old home, moving it into the new home, and helping them with the placement and bring in new items?
Maybe different artwork. There's some purchasing involved, but not on a massive scale that would be for interior decorating. So, because we want to make whatever furniture they have go into their new home.
Yeah. Do you find people are resistant to using a professional to help them with the design of their home?
Not at all. They go, help. They need help. Because
well, we think they need help, but do people?
But the most challenging, especially people are downsizing. And so the challenge is, how am I going to fit my furniture into my new space?
And that's a perfect segue to Karen,
absolutely.
who went through this.
Right.
So
Yes.
Karen, you personally moved from a big house to a tiny condo.
Yes, and really trying to make it still my style and have my favorite things, but also being able to let go of a lot of things.
So you went from how many square feet to how many?
2,500 to 850.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you approach that?
It was overwhelming at first because you're like, I have one closet, how am I going to do all this? And then you really kind of sit in the space, walk the space, and then start choosing those things that are most important to you. And then I gave away, paid it forward, a lot of things, and really realized it's just stuff. And to have your favorite things, but it has to be, whether it's 2,500, 25,000, or 850, it really has to feel like home. And that's the biggest compliment I get from my friends. They're like, it still feels like a home because
you
of
have
my
a
collection.
Beautiful 800 square feet.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, and you made it you.
It made it me.
And
yes.
storage was a big thing.
Yes.
Well, and that's interior decorating. That is done for you where staging is for the buyer. And during that process, we're already having them reduce their closets, decluttering, removing things so they're prepared when they do that downsize and that move. It won't be so stressful and overwhelming, but that's why we want to be there to help them go through that process.
And I think that what I've really tried to share with my clients too, it's very freeing, whether you're, downsizing, or even if you're not downsizing, going to that next place, shed the stuff. Why are we going to pack up a pot of stuff you're never going to use again? So really trying to pay it forward, again, as we said, donate, whatever it is, but really trying to let them know that it's freeing.
And they say, I cannot believe how much better this feels when you don't have all this clutter.
So they feel that way when they're preparing their home to sell. And so what you do is you help them have that same feeling
seamless,
when they get into their new home, and it's fresh and new. It might be their same furniture, but it's
going to have a fresh look. It's got a new floor plan, new colors, new whatever. But then we can bring in certain items to really personalize it for them and just make it their own home.
Yeah. Very good. I love this conversation. Great topic. Thank you so much. Design to Live, Andrea Lenzen. Karen, thanks for being here again as well. Staging tips work great whether you're selling your home or just living in it every day. And next up, we've got a great guest who's going to talk about something else related to living in your space and how great it can look. Stay right here with Real Life. I'm Sarah Bernard. Home remodeling, finding a painter or contractor, figuring out how to do what we want to do in our homes, it's complicated. So Karen and I invited one of our favorite people, Darren Johnson, who owns a home renovation company, to give us the tips of the trade. Welcome, Darren.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I know you're busy, so thanks for coming in and spending a few minutes with us today.
Oh, glad to help.
Yeah, so when people decide that they want to do work on their home, what would you recommend they do what's the first step in finding a contractor? It's hard.
I'd ask your neighbors, your relatives, who they've had good luck with, who they've had bad luck with. There's a number of really good people in town, and then there's also, unfortunately, the ones that give us a black eye, Yeah. So contracts are important, reputation's important.
Yeah, contracts, signing a contract, having a contract. Yeah, and I definitely agree with the referrals, the word of mouth, right?
Yeah, you want your work listed. Our company is still one of those few that does a little on a handshake, but it's getting more and more. So you're getting away from that, from both ends of the spectrum. There's also some dishonest people out there that are happy to screw over their local contractor.
Yeah, well, any industry really.
Right.
We don't talk about that. That's why you're here, Darren.
But the biggest thing I think is referrals and word of mouth.
And I think when you're getting ready to do any sort of home project, talk about expectations, timelines, what everybody thinks it's a do-it-yourself project, and then it's not, and it costs more, and then supplies and things like that. So when you really be realistic, when you sit down with your contractor about what your goals are and to accomplish those, because I think sometimes people are disappointed because they budgeted this for a kitchen or that for a bathroom, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we're $10,000 over budget. So how do you walk people through the reality of a home project and making their vision come true?
Well, we do that. We do a walkthrough on the project. Then we go back and figure materials and labor, and everything you're doing should be listed on a sheet of paper someplace, and your materials. And then you have to decide, do you need somebody to hold your hand when you're picking out the materials? Like if you're doing a major renovation in your bathroom, do you want someone to help you pick the tile, pick your colors? It could be something as simple as a really good interior decorator, or it could be something like one of our local vendors that you'd schedule an appointment with them, go in, work with the designer for a couple hours, and then you're going to pay a little extra for that, but I've been told that they're well worth their money.
And as you're packing your patience for the whole project, because again, everything seems to take longer, not because we want it to, but really, I think we watch these 30-minute TV shows and think it happens that quickly, and it doesn't.
Not lately, especially with the problems with material shortages, and we've had people ask us about windows lately. I think the latest customer I mentioned said that they put their order in at a local big box store, which typically is pretty quick, and they're having to wait 4 months.
Yeah.
Heating and cooling, pretty much anything is being delayed, with the exception of you can still get drywall and 2x4s.
Yeah. So how often do projects change scope? So you come in, homeowner hires you, and they hire you to paint the living room. How often does it stay just the living room?
Kind of depends on the client. It's very common for us to come in, and once they see how nice something looks, then it changes, and the next thing you know, you're gutting somebody's bathroom and putting in a new shower stall for
When
them.
you started just painting the living room.
It's possible.
What's your favorite room to redo?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of bathrooms we're doing lately. I'm not sure that's our favorite, but it's definitely our most popular at the moment.
But what is your favorite? That's a good question. What do you love to do? What do you love to design?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a painter by trade. I started back in the '90s, and so I like the finish work. You can just come in and you see something that was done maybe 20, 30 years ago, and it's really rough. And if we put a little, polish on it, we can really turn it into something nice.
Do you take a lot of pride in the work and projects that you're doing?
Yeah, and that's one area that I would say that can make or break it. Not just because I'm a painter, but a lot of homeowners think, okay, I'm going to hire the contractor to do X, Y, Z, but I'm going to finish up on I'm going to do all the finish work. And usually somebody with a trained eye can walk in and spot those things pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about the challenges in your business? I mean, you're not out there doing all this painting yourself. You've got a pretty big business. How are you finding workers?
That's a good question. We speak Russian at home, and so I'm involved. We're also Russian Orthodox Christians, so that helps. I've got guys that work for me who don't speak English real well, so they're happy with that. And then we've also got our American side of the crew, where we recently just hired a guy that's super talented, and in his spare time builds race boats, wood race boats that I don't know. He's super talented. So
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so let's shift gears for a minute. Karen, I don't know if you know much about paint finishes.
No, I don't.
I don't either. Talk to us about different finishes. We just have a minute before we have to wrap up. What's the trend right now?
Right. What is a good trend?
Whites. We went from accessible beige to light grays to whites. If you're trying to sell your home, go with flat finishes on the walls and ceilings.
Okay.
If you're going to move in with kids and dogs, go with flat on your ceiling and eggshell on the walls.
All right, there you
Great
go.
tips.
That is like the
That's
tip of
awesome,
the
yeah.
moment. Thank you so much, Darren. That's a great way to wrap this segment. Thanks for joining us today. Coming up next is a special guest who loves to educate about something mysterious in our homes that we don't know is there. Don't go away. Welcome back to Real Life. Have you ever heard of radon? Maybe you've heard of it and don't have a clue what it is. In some parts of the country, it's very common. And Sherry Suma, a radon expert, is joining us today to give us some education. So Sherry, thanks for joining me and Karen today. It's not anyone's favorite topic. It probably doesn't come up a whole lot in conversation, but we know it's important and we know you know everything. So tell us why we need to know about radon.
Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer.
All right, there you go. That's why.
That's enough, right?
Okay,
That's
yeah.
enough. It's the leading cause in non-smokers. Maybe for some of the viewers who don't know what radon is, it's a colorless, odorless gas. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it, but it can be present at dangerous levels in your home.
And it's like not everywhere, right? So some parts of the country, some parts of even a state, it's more common, or a city?
It is
right?
everywhere. It's
Okay.
everywhere. It's in every country, it's in every state. It's just in some states it's elevated more than in other states. So for instance, in Missouri, about 33% of homes have elevated levels of radon.
Wow.
In a state like Colorado, it's even higher, it's 40%. So it just kind of varies from state to state. But any home that you live in should be tested for radon and has the potential to have elevated levels of radon.
And so normally, I know, Karen, we're realtors,
Yes.
and we'll have people have it tested during the buying process. But what if you're not moving? Should you have it tested?
Absolutely, absolutely. The good thing about a real estate transaction is it introduces people to what radon is that may have not heard of it before.
And when you say elevated levels, how do you mitigate the elevated levels? So if you go in at test high, which we do have sometimes in transactions, and what's the fix?
The fix is installing a radon mitigation system. And simply put, it's a ventilation system that pulls the gas from underneath the slab and vents it to the outside. Radon comes from uranium, so it's constantly decaying, and that system works 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I have one in my house actually, and it's hidden in a closet. It was there before I bought my house, and I'm assuming it's working correctly. Is that something that we should check?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It should be tested every 2 years, whether
Okay.
your house has a system in it or it doesn't. Every 2 years is a good rule of thumb to test, or anytime you make alterations to your house, you should be testing.
And without putting on the spot what is a system cost?
Well,
Ballpark.
it varies in different areas
Right.
of the country, but I would say a good ballpark is $800 to $2,000.
Okay, so yeah, so again, terms we don't talk about every day and the costs that associated. So it's not a $10,000 fix, it's somewhere
Yeah,
between
that's
8 to
Right.
2,000.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Actually one of the least expensive home improvements you can make to your house, and it's one that can save your life.
And no one thinks about it.
No one.
No one thinks about it. In fact, over 21,000 people a year die in the United States from radon-induced lung cancer. It's the sixth leading
Wow.
cause of cancer mortality in the United States. And just by doing a simple test, you can buy a do-it-yourself test kit at the hardware store, or you can have a
Oh,
certified.
that's great to know.
Right,
Okay.
and for $20 to $50, or you can have somebody certified test for anywhere between $125 to $200, depending where you live.
And if you already have a system like me, it's same, you just call a radon company to come, or you can get that test kit at a hardware store?
Yes, you can get the test kit at a hardware store.
Those
to know
are
if
great,
it's
they're
working.
great
Or-
tips.
Yeah, right. Of course, you can always hire a professional too to do the testing, but you should be testing periodically. Something like carbon monoxide, they're both kind of considered the silent killer because
Yeah,
you can't see
right.
them, taste them, smell
Yeah,
them.
that's what we hear about.
And everybody has those in their home, right? Nobody would live without a carbon monoxide detector. And carbon monoxide kills about 500 people a year in comparison.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting fact. So has this always been a thing? Because we heard an earlier segment, Andrea Lenzen talking about home staging, and she said like 15 years ago it didn't exist, home staging. So what about testing for radon? Has that always been a thing, or is it a bigger thing in the last few years?
Testing for radon hasn't always been a thing. It's been a thing, I would say, since the mid 1980s.
Okay.
Of course, radon's always been a thing.
Of course, radon's always been around us. We just didn't know it.
We just didn't know it. But there's been scientific studies starting in the 1950s about the links between radon and lung cancer, but we started testing in the early 80s, and it takes a little while. So I appreciate you guys raising awareness on this show. You know, everybody understands the link between lung cancer and cigarette smoking.
Right.
And every year that passes and we raise more awareness, more people are educated that radon also causes lung cancer.
Yeah. So is it that you said the most common reason for non-smoking lung cancer?
Yes, yes. It's the
Learned a
second
lot
contributor.
today. Yeah.
It's the second contributor.
But we shouldn't be scared if we have a system, right? Like me.
No, I mean, that's the great thing.
Right.
Radon-induced lung cancer is preventable.
Right.
And these systems are likely going to lower your radon levels to levels like that without a system. So let's say you're going to purchase a house and you test your radon levels and the action level is 4.0 picocuries per liter, 3. Well, you might get a radon system installed in that same house and it's going to be reduced significantly below that.
Is there any level of radon that is so high that you shouldn't buy the house?
No. And the reason is because any house can be mitigated.
So the systems can literally get rid of it, get rid of
Yes.
most of it.
Yes, and in most
any level.
cases, there's no correlation to the radon level and how successful we are or how low we can reduce the radon levels.
Yeah, very good. Well, this is great,
Really
great
good
tips, and
information.
thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you for raising the awareness for our viewers. This is important. Not something we talk about every day, right, Karen?
No, and easy as going to the hardware store to get a kit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very easy. Yeah. And my system in my house, literally, you don't see it, you don't hear it, wouldn't know it's there. Except I know it's there because I clean out that closet.
Right.
Right. All right. Very good. We love hearing from people who can teach us more from their experience about our current home or about our next one. Next up, we're going on location into a real home, and we're going to show you how we can get it ready to live in the best way. You won't want to miss it. Andrea, we are back.
I know.
Inside the house that we've been transforming for the last few weeks. So we
Yes.
started with the master bedroom suite, and then we did the living room, and then in our last episode we transformed the dining room, and today we're doing the final room, which is the TV den
Yes.
in this house.
Yes.
We're getting this house ready for sale. So the owner lives in it the way we all live in our homes,
Correct.
but called us in to see what we could do to get it ready for the market. So this is a great room. It's a small space.
Yes.
And
We're going to open it up though.
yeah, she has a treadmill in this space that
Right.
she uses every day, just like, where do you put a treadmill, right? Everyone has to put it somewhere. But we have to deal with that because it's taking up a lot of space for the room, and it'll make the room look smaller with it in it. So that's one of the things we're going to tackle.
Exactly.
And then just make this room look more open, inviting, modern, all of those things.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
and
Get
see
started.
what you can do today.
Okay, we can do it.
All right, and here we are, another amazing room changed, makeover, transformation.
Major.
Let's take a
Like,
look and
look.
let you guys see it.
See, everybody
So,
loves this.
If you remember a few minutes ago, it was dark, it was just kind of the way people live. There was a treadmill back here. We've moved everything, opened up the space. Not
moved a
we.
chair in.
I take no credit. It's all Andrea. So Andrea, tell us what you've done and why you've done
Well,
it.
we brought in some different artwork to kind of give this room a whole different feel, some different color pillows, a lamp, needs more lighting, show how she can use her ottoman, having a cup of coffee, whatever, bringing in another chair. So this is just a great room for the family to sit around and watch TV.
And except for the accessories and a couple pillows, this was
And the area
all
rug.
already here. So Andrea just took the seller's things and moved things around and added a couple of bursts of color and brought in a rug, and an inexpensive rug, and gave it a whole new look. So you have now seen an entire main floor of a home transformed in the past few episodes. So again, master bedroom, living room, dining room, and now the den.
Absolutely.
This is how it's done, folks.
Yeah.
We want to help you do the best you can to bring the most money out of your home for your next purchase. So thanks for joining us on Real Life, and keep coming back for more amazing transformations by Andrea Lenzen.
Thank you, Sarah Bernard.